Hey guys, what's going on? This is your host Madman, and we are back with Season 2, Episode 3 of True Detective. I'm going to be rather ambitious and try to record another episode worth of commentary tonight. Despite the fact that I'm getting a bit tired. I had too much coffee today, too much caffeine, so for better or for worse, I'm up and I'm awake, or part of me is anyway, so we're going to sail and smoothly saunter our way through this commentary. So, I rewatched the last episode briefly just to kind of make sure my commentary is up to snuff. And I realized I sort of glossed over the fact that the town is incorporated, which is significant. It's almost like the Vici or Venice or whatever the fuck the town's called. It's an allegory for the States in that it's this kind of capitalist island, this kind of self-incorporated independent zone that's trying to contend with the broader global society, trying to maintain its relevance, trying to survive, etc. That's one way you could look at it. And again, I wouldn't be delving into geopolitics and all sorts of shit like that if the series did not prompt me to do so, if it didn't summon up those associations in my mind when I watch it. Also, this intro, very weird. We have like this white sun with a little black planet Mercury going across it, which is, I mean, it's supposed to be Earth, but it reminds me of shots of Mercury. And then this opening, man, this is weird. We have this weird Elvis impersonator guy. Blue and white colors on the stage here. Talking about a river. Okay. Drowns the tender reed. This guy looks like one of the Monty Python troupe, but it's definitely not the same guy. His face reminds me of that. It's funny. We have our main character looking at an old cop. Who could this guy be? He's got the grizzled nose of the ancients. The bulbous nose of being beaten up and drinking when you were 16. Bruised knuckles. Whew. My father made me nervous. I know that feel. Didn't intend to, but it is what it is. I see you running through the trees. You're small. The trees are like giants. He's having a premonition. He's having a fucking Kwisatz Haderach Dune vision here. For him, the water of life seems to have been booze. They shoot you to pieces. It's a poignant scene. It's an artistic scene, but it's such blatant exposition for a later episode that I don't know, it nullifies its own mysticism by being too blunt. I mean, again, compare this to Season 1. Season 1 wouldn't have done this. You know, Rust has had his exposition dumps of occult theory, but this is just like, it's so obvious, man. Ugh. Yeah, it's not as good as when I first saw it. The nostalgia's not enough for me to praise this scene. The stage performance is ripped off of David Lynch because if I'm not mistaken, Season 3 of Twin Peaks was either coming out or had already come out around this time. So this is a very David Lynch rip-off type of thing, to have a creepy musical piece playing in the background. But the difference is in Lynch. David Lynch's stuff, it's like Kubrick, but intentionally sloppier. It's very weird, the way Lynch does stuff. Lynch's stuff, where it's weak is also where it's strong. It's very loose and sort of free associative, but it also loses its own point in its own aloofness. Like, it doesn't it has like an obsession with like, you know, this kind of egalitarian ideal of I'll just provide the audience with a bunch of weird shit, and then I'll let my audience interpret it. On top of that, I think Lynch does have visions for his content in terms of what they're supposed to mean. But again, there's a clash, there's a tension between the two. Maybe that's what makes it interesting. I don't know. Lynch's stuff is very hard to criticize. Maybe that was his goal in the beginning, was just I want to make stuff that people have a hard time criticizing. That's a noble enough goal, I guess. And then again, the reason I bring it up is we have this creepy dream sequence. This guy almost died, but the guy shot him with salt. He shot him with knock you out salt buckshot. He didn't want to kill him. Rubber, that's what it was. Salt actually would have been probably a lot worse. I don't know anything about guns, but you know, you blast any object at somebody at that velocity, if it's salt, it's gonna burn the wound. I use lemon juice buck salt. That's salt and lemon juice combined. It's most painful. It doesn't really kill the guy, not usually, but the pain is really at a top tier level. Takes out a pack of Hestia cigarettes. Very epic. The yellow packaging, it's the same. I'm just saying. He's like, yeah, one of my guys got shot. Why wouldn't I show up? Good man. He's doing his job. Fuck's sake. Why is she suspicious of that? That's a weird choice. Another authoritative male is here. That threatens me inherently. What the fuck is wrong with you? If a man was in your position and said, oh, a woman in authority threatens me, the fucking Armageddon would happen. Fuck's sake. She's just touchy. That's the gist of the scene. But, more importantly, we're cutting back to Vince Vaughn, the most interesting character in this entire season. Ah, yes, the Astroglide and porn magazines. Very epic. He's like, I really don't want to be here, man. I'm with you, man. I'm not into the Astroglide or the porn magazines, okay? I do what I have to do, but I don't enjoy it. Oh, man. He's trying to have a nice moment with his wife, and he's distracted. God damn it, man. Fuck. We've all been there, am I right, guys? You just wanted to blow off steam, but you're distracted by some stressful shit. And worrying that your partner will interpret your real-world stress as a slight on their ability to seduce you makes the stress 10 times worse. Very epic. Isn't sex fun? There's a great book that depicts sex in a way that is so perfect. It's a book by a guy named Robert Olin Butler. And it's a short book. It's only like 140 pages. You can read it in a day. The book is just called Hell. And there's some sex scenes in that book that are so brilliant because they're very human. They portray the act of sex, the encounter, the scenario, all the complexities of it so perfectly, because the whole book takes place in hell. And the twist at the end of that book will blow your fucking mind. It'll blow your mind. It's real shit. Fuck Has-Been Hotel. Has-Been Hotel should never have happened. What should have happened instead is the creators of that series should have been strapped down in a Clockwork Orange theater and shown an audiobook with AI-generated visuals of the Robert Olin Butler book Hell. That's what should have happened in the ideal timeline. They would have just been shown that book and gone, oh, we don't need to make anything because this book already exists. And therefore, any attempt that we have to surpass it is moot because of how it portrays sex. It's great. I won't go into detail. Just go read the book. Support the author. Pay $10 or $20, whatever it is, to get a copy of that book. That book is great. Hold it up on camera. Show off that you have it. That book is good. That book changed my life. It's very good. So here we have this masculine woman and this feminine man, and they're both hiding their nature. They're having a conversation. Is that a fucking e-cigarette? Everybody criticizes her for it. I love the meme of that. It's funny. This is back when e-cigs weren't a big deal. They were like a new thing. So it was fashionable to make fun of someone. Every time there's a new thing, whether it's an e-cigarette or a new sexuality, even being gay back in the day, the first step is you criticize people for it, and then gradually it gets accepted into society. Isn't that interesting how that works? The first step is humiliation, and then the thing or the behavior or the alien being or whatever it is gets integrated into society regardless. Funny how that works. Hopefully the society that tries to play the game that way doesn't fall apart. I mean, most of them have. Actually, all of them have. Shitty how that works. Some of those people are good people. Some of them, I assume, are good people. Some of them are Alan Turing, you know. When he committed suicide, he injected cyanide into an apple. This is not a joke. This is real. And, he invented the computer. He took Charles Babbage's designs and communed with the same demons to finish the bargain. But the people, his handlers, they didn't like that he had to be gay to do it. So they basically threw him in an asylum. And then he killed himself by eating an apple, injected cyanide into the apple, and took a bite, and then he died. That's the narrative anyway. Very poignant. It's funny how Apple Computer's logo is an apple with a bite taken out of it. It's almost like certain people in your society have sacrificed their whole lives just to commune with demons for a grain of knowledge that they hope to pass on to you. And they get treated like shit. They get cast aside. They get thrown into the trash heap. Very bad, very sad, you know. It's almost like maybe we should treat those people a little better. Maybe we should give them a little more of a break for what they've done. But if we don't, maybe the gifts they've given us will turn to ashes in our mouths. Maybe the test was really how sympathetic can we be to those people. You know, Odin shows up at your door dressed like a homeless guy. If you assume he's a Vietnam vet heroin addict and you throw water on his face or something, maybe then you get cursed. Maybe you suffer a curse. I don't know. And I'm not an expert on curses, okay? I'm an expert on good magic, on the good spells. So I don't know a lot about that. Anyway, let's go back to the series here. Basically, Dirty Sanchez is like, holy shit, dude, you've overstepped your bounds. You've done something I didn't want you to do. I never asked you to do it. You've involved me in some mob shit. You've breached the barriers. You've crossed some lines. And I'm not comfortable with it. And then again, I can't even fucking commentate on this. Right away, we've cut to another group of characters. That's the weakness of this season. Is it's too much too fast, man. I know I sound like some kind of grandpa. Like, aren't you used to 7-second TikToks? Yeah, I can vibe with that. I watched YouTube poops back in 2009. Fuck you. The fast pace is not the problem. It's the fact that too much information is included in each second of footage. In a YouTube poop, it's just random noise. It's nonsense. On a TikTok video or back in the day in a Vine video, it was a quick joke. That fits that format. The problem with this series is the format is too information dense for the snippets of scenes that were given with each group of characters. These characters need more time, you know. That's the problem. They need more time. That's it. Just make it 16 episodes. Even 16 would have been enough. 16 would have been good enough. Hell, 10 episodes would have improved this. Anyway, we have this drugged out, rich, degenerate hoe in her nice marble mansion, which isn't even well designed because the marble column behind our gay cop guy, the arches interacting with that column, that's way too stark of a aesthetic contrast. It looks like they were glued together. It looks like he used preset assets in The Sims or Fallout to snap objects together. It looks shitty. It's not unified. And then you have this like French royalty Louis XIV furniture in the room. It's way too gauche. It's gaudy. Remember what Polonius said in Hamlet? Rich, not gaudy. When he's talking to his son about how to dress when he goes to France. He's like, even going to France, the fanciest fucking place, don't overdo it. That's what he's saying. God, they have like Playboy cardboard cutouts in this. What the fuck? He's got a crystal ball on his desk. I can't talk about all the shit I'm seeing. This is insane. He's got a crystal ball on his desk and a Playboy cutout. I can't even. He's got some sex slave in a room, some Haitian or Cambodian chick in a fucking room. She's like, I'm just here to fuck. Go away. You're compromising my income. I've been mining Bitcoin. I think it's going to go up. She actually becomes like a millionaire after this. I hope so. That's my headcanon for that character. The sex slave in this scene, guys, she becomes a millionaire. And all these other guys lose all their money investing in the meme of the north-south high-speed rail line in California. These girls with their bras off. This guy's like, I don't want to see that. I'm an ass guy. That wasn't clear from the start. You've got this Egyptian-looking fuck. I love that they picked a guy who looks Egyptian. They clad him in Egyptian-looking shit. His palace is gaudy. It's almost like it's a commentary on the decline of ancient Egypt, whatever that was. He calls her a racist. She's a cop. She makes 1/10 of what you make in a month, man. And he's like, I'm just bullshitting. Again, lying, putting on masks, Burnt Orange Heresy, True Detective Season 1, blah, blah, blah. Watch my other videos. This series is trafficking in the same type of ideas. It's the same shit. Again, he puts on an Ebonics thing now. He's like, I'm entertaining a different client. And I'm going to psychopathically mutate to ingratiate his preferred way of speaking. That's how I've afforded these shittily designed columns. Jackass. You can't purchase taste. That's something you have to develop. This guy never did. So then we cut back to Dirty Sanchez. He's at his doctor and the guy's like, bro, you're doing like a shit ton of drugs all at once. You gotta pick like 2. You know, alcohol and nicotine on their own, they're bad enough. You're doing coke and you're doing too much. And you're doing too much of the other 2. If you helps if you don't have every addiction under the sun. Basically, this is like going to Fallout and the doctor's like, you know, a Dictol doesn't exist in this universe, man. You gotta fucking mediate. You gotta have some self-discipline. He basically asked the guy, he literally is like, do you want to live? You don't want to hear that from your doctor, man. I'd rather hear a cancer diagnosis than the question, do you want to live? Hell of a fucking line in this. God damn. So here we have Frank, and he's calling in some favors. He's desperate. He's like, I need some help, man. I need some people. I need some money. I need whatever I need. So he's going back in time. He's digging up his past. He's like, I'm a mobster at heart. This is what I like doing. This is what I'm good at. Squeezing people. He's like 25% of your net. He's like, things change. And he's being honest in his mobster way. He's like, if I run out of money, things are going to be bad for everybody. Politicians do the same shit. They just use different language. You know, it's not a revelatory claim to make. It's just this series does it in a very blunt way. Even movies like The Godfather, you know, they make this pretty blunt pretty early on, you know. But every so often people need a reminder that this is how Western society has to function. For freedom and individualism to survive, this type of shit needs to happen. Not because it should, but because it is going to, because it has to. These types of exchanges are going to happen. The alternative is some emaciated soldier who's barely able to feed himself and his family, if he has one, points a gun in your face and tells you to do something absurd and stupid that will probably hurt society. The alternative is we have all these creepy deals that go on that sustain society. You know? It's either an open suicide or a closed survival. You know, clandestine survival. So again, they're being really pressured to find this guy. It's like, first of all, this is our job to find the dude. Second of all, you guys aren't exactly helping us. You're not providing any information, you know. It's just external, it's just additional pressure. It's like, yeah, I'm sure more pressure is going to change the facts of the case. It's not like we're going to do our job better if you just pressure us. What the fuck kind of logic is that? Yeah, I'm not pressured enough. Jesus Christ. Just lay off. And the drunk guy's complaining. He's like, you arrest my wife. Blah, 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 blah. He's like, well, I found a bunch of fetish masks, ravens and shit. Some kind of Edgar Allan Poe fan club. Furry fan club. I mean, I know furries and scalies. Featheries, is that a term? No, Ray. That's not a term at all. Go to E621. Educate yourself. We don't pay you to do that. You gotta do that research on your own time. And so she goes, don't try to tell me. Again, we're rapidly cutting between the characters. It's like, well, he's a man. He's obviously trying to rape you with his every move. His every thought is based on oppressing and raping you. I'm judging him just based on his gender. It's not like that's inherently prejudiced. I'm just going to assume that I can use that judgment against you and that you'll agree with me. It's like they're trying to pit these two against each other. Isn't that interesting? It's almost like that's part of the plot. It's like they're using these characters' weaknesses to try to pit them against each other. You're a guy and she's a woman. Pretty fucking obvious, though. Kind of a shitty weakness. You know, it's these guys, you know, they're both damaged people, but, you know, they're not that stupid, man. You assume they're stupider than they are, it's going to blow up in your face. And straight up, Velcro Sanchez is like, look, I've been shot with rubber bullets. That was bad enough. I had a fever dream about my dad telling me how I would later die in the series. I'm kind of done already. You know, what more do you want from me? What more can I provide? And our THX 11 whatever guy is like, well, try it out anyway. We're going to use you anyway. And now, oof. Her ex has come to chastise her for not telling him that she wanted to be choked in the bedroom to get off. Don't bring that shit into the workplace, my dude. All sympathy I may have had for you has now evaporated. And she goes, it wasn't your fault, but we're not compatible, you know. And this asshole is so childish. She's like, but what if we could be compatible? It's like, she just told you to fuck off. And she's like, she's right here. I take her side in this scene where she's like, just be mature. We're done, you know. We're good. And to be fair to him, she's being a bit cold and a bit blunt. But better to be blunt and cold than to allow the relationship to rot until it has to be dug up from a grave and burned. Better to just cut it off. And she straight up has to tell this poor fuck, get the fuck out of here. She's right. She's like, I'm addressing my issues. You know, it's taken me some time. But however long it takes, you know, better late than never. We cut to this withered hand with a shot glass. God damn. And here's the dad from Cat Shit Mustache Guy's Visions. This is his dad. He's drinking, he's smoking weed. He's like, don't give me fucking sativas, man. Give me indicas. Fuck's sake. Indicas keep me up all night. I fucking know what he's talking about. If the West is dying, or at least my generation is, at least give me some nice palliative shit. Don't give me fucking sativas. What the fuck is wrong with you? Give me indicas. Give me the good shit. Let me go out with some comfort and some dignity. Watched enough older relatives of mine die. It's like, don't just drown them in morphine. Give them a chance, man. Give him some indica, you know. He's thrown out his police medal. The weeds finally made him realize, oh, I was a fucking drone. I was a goy. I'm watching old cop movies to try to maintain my will not to kill myself while I still have the physical strength to pull the trigger. I gotta maintain the illusion. Poor bastard. God, we treat our elders so badly in the West. There's two sins we commit. We overvalue the material, number one. Number two, we undervalue our elders. That's it. You can summarize the weaknesses of our entire culture in those two statements. That's what this series is partly commentating on. It's, you know, sometimes it's more ethical and more respectful to do the Inuit ice flow method, where you let your elders freeze to death when their teeth fall out and they can't chew their whale blubber, when they can't tell stories, if they have dementia or whatever. You kill them humanely, peacefully, quietly, respectfully, allowing them to suffer And this guy hasn't reached that point, but I'm talking about the general attitude of our culture in the West. Keeping people alive for some principle of creepy Nazi scientific study where the dying person is a potential source of data for longevity research. That is creepy as fuck. Maybe it's good, maybe it saves lives, but it doesn't mean it's any less creepy. It doesn't mean it's any less disrespectful. I'm not talking about scientific knowledge. I'm talking about cultural morality. And, there were laws passed in Canada recently that a lot of people have a lot of big problems with. But Scandinavian countries have had those laws for decades, and they haven't collapsed. Those laws are not diktats, they're not commands, they're not strictures, they're just options. Having more options seems to me to be a bit more ANCAP, a bit more laissez-faire, a bit more individualist. If you're against having more options, it's almost like you want to impose your viewpoint on all of society. Kind of creepy. Creepier than assisted suicide is a person or a group that wants all of society to conform to their ideas. So, he's talking to his Russian benefactor. Let's rubber band back to Vince Vaughn. This guy's the devil, man. He's the Satan allegory in this series, this creepy Russian mobster guy. Should never have shook his hand, man. Commie Jew fuck. God damn. He's kissing his wife's hand. Make me want to fucking puke. So he's like, this guy just sidestepped his involvement in the whole Caspier thing. Why is one of our top guys AWOL? The guy's like, it's not my department. You consigned me to doing something different. Again, the dialogue in this is overindulgent. It's corny. Half anaconda, half great whale. What the fuck does that even mean, man? I'm the king of overinterpreting shit. That means nothing. That is overindulgent, symbolic drivel. You're throwing out terms and hoping that the viewers interpret them as meaning something. That's the lowest tier of writing, man. David Lynch gets away with it because his imagery is interesting. But, you put that in the wrong context, it just sucks. So this former partner of our gay cop is like, don't stay in the closet. You're hurting yourself. It's hurting everybody around you. He's giving him an out. Giving him a chance. Ooh, very dramatic and epic. What could happen next? And this partner of his is like, oh, do you ever miss working for the CIA and assassinating people in Iran or whatever the fuck they did? And he's like, we're not soldiers anymore, we're free to do whatever we want. We served our time. We did our creepy op shit. Now can be who you are. Again, he's trying to give him an out, but it comes across as creepy. It's almost like if only he'd given our gay cop character this out, or this opportunity, in a less creepy way, in a more open way. He wants this guy to be open. He's not being open himself. How hypocritical. How creepy. If only he'd been more open about it. But he wasn't. And he flubbed it. He fucked it up. He had one chance. Now he's trying to blackmail him with his behavior, with his true self. And the guy's like, don't try to blackmail me, man. I'd rather die. I'd rather beat you up in public. Don't touch me. You went about it wrong. You fucked it up. You had one opportunity. I didn't have one opportunity with you. You had one opportunity with me, and you fucked it up. You failed, not me. We're done. And maybe he's being stubborn. Our jello chin alcoholic failure cop is recording the whole thing. Of course it's being recorded. Of course you're being recorded. That's nothing new. It's not a revelation. Everyone's being recorded. We're all being recorded all the time. It's not like it matters. Do one thing, do the other. Who cares? If you're being recorded either way, who cares? What does it matter? I'm being judged by God. I'm being judged by, some Chinese group of hackers. I don't care. Judge me all you want. Judge yourself first. Then we cut to this straight up Fallout 4 set. Holy shit. I didn't even remember this was a thing. God damn. This couldn't be more blatant. It's screaming it at you. You're living in Fallout. Jesus, I didn't remember this was even part of this episode or this series. Jesus Christ. I mean, they couldn't be making it more obvious. The performance that society's collapsed and society's actual collapse are happening at the same time, concurrently. It's too much, man. I have nothing to say. I'm mute. Unbelievable. Unreal. Collapse of civilization revenge flick. Yeah, they ought to make it a silent picture. It'd be better if it was. It's the same as reality. There's no difference. Well, the costumes are slightly different. Everything going on in the movie is going on in reality. How is it an illusion if everything that's going on in the film is real? How can it be an illusion if everything that the characters are doing is a real action? A real movie, a real illusion, is something that doesn't happen terrestrially. It doesn't happen in reality. It's a look into an alternate timeline or the distant past or the far future. Obsessing about trying to replicate reality, I mean, it's a bizarre impulse for a culture to have. Trying to reinforce the status quo. I mean, that's the only... Again, I gotta say it, we got an Asian director here. What does that mean? This whole show is about racial politics. Back in season 1, those themes were summoned up. And here we have them popping up again. It's very strange. They're casually talking about a totally unrelated thing on a fucking Fallout chain link fence. I mean, what is this? At this point, I'm kind of checked out. God, then we cut to a casino. Back to Vince Vaughn. And he's like, why weren't you there for the meeting with the Russian guy? Why the fuck weren't you there? And he's like, your phone died. Fuck you. That's a shit excuse. What am I paying you? And the guy's like, here's why I wasn't here. Now we gotta deal with a corpse. And Vince Vaughn's like, why did this guy die? It's not like he was important. You know? He's making excuses for fate. Again, he's leaning on this childish mobster mentality when the guys he's surrounded himself with have been trained by him to interact with a totally different class of people. You know, keep your sins in your own lane. If you're a mobster forever. If you're born a socialite, you're a socialite. There's some unfortunate truths that this series is trying to advocate that I can't really fundamentally argue with. That if you're born into a certain class, you're probably going to be that the rest of your life. It's very difficult, if not impossible, to switch levels, to switch classes, to go from one level of hell to another. It's very difficult. It's easier to just go straight to heaven. It's harder to swap yourself between one level of hell and another, you know. Oh God, the angel cosplayers. Just buy a furry suit, man. Buy an angel costume. Fuck's sake. This guy is so dead. But I get the sense he's like me. He's like I'm not just gonna fuck random people because I don't enjoy it. I derive no meaning from it. And then I think this is the same actor, this guy here, this cheeky twinkish guy. I think it's the same actor from season 1. And again, he's interviewing him professionally. He's like, well, I need information. And this guy's like, well, I'm good with faces. And of course, our gay cop character is lying. He's like, no, I've never been to a gay club. I would never do that. I'm far too straight for that type of shit. And again, like Rust, pays him for the information. And this guy's like, they wouldn't even let you in. He's like, you're playing a character. He sees right through his facade. Dangerous, scary shit. Guy's like, I know you're lying. You're not a angsty straight guy noir cop. You're just a gay dude. Then we cut back to our two drunkard characters, both trying to repress their trauma with liquor. Works for a while. like anything. Oh, his emaciated wife has shown up with her soy boy GF in the car to make sure that he can use his red karma powers if this guy gets violent, this epic evil man. And she goes, look, I'm just here to warn you. Cops came to us. 2 investigators. And she's implying that they know about his connection to Vince Vaughn. His dark mafia connection. Because our little cat shit mustache guy killed someone who may or may not have been his wife's rapist. And the creepy thing is, the reason Vince Vaughn has his nuts in a vice is because there's no way to prove the guy was the real guy. The justice system failed him, so he went outside of it, and he said, I want to know who raped my wife. Vince Vaughn provided him with a potential person, and this dude in his grug brain psycho idiocy killed the guy, and then they covered it up. And she's like, this isn't exactly making the custody battle an easy thing. This potential murder is not really going to help you keep your son. And he goes, I wish you'd never told me about this. In fact, legally, it's better if I play dumb. If I pretend you never showed it to me. Hell of a thing. And Bezarides is watching this all happen through the window, drinking her cup of some kind of booze, Irish tea. I don't know what the fuck you'd call that. He goes, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to go back to work. Like, I got to distract myself from this crap. Good Lord. Imagine having a personal life so disastrous that you have to use your work as a distraction from it. That's a hell of a thing. If that's your life, get out of it. Oof. You don't want to bust shoulders with Vince Vaughn, man. Get the fuck out of there. He's got a Nordic demon working for him. Whew. So they're trying to figure out what Casper was into. This murdered guy. Who was he fucking? What was he doing? Any information. You know, which girls did he like? It's a quagmire. Try to get into that. And this guy's basically like, well, what did this guy like? And it's like, well, he liked to watch. He was a voyeur. Ooh. Very creepy and psychopathic. Anybody who's a voyeur, they're dangerous. They want to externalize their desires. Ooh. Pretty spooky. And then this guy talks about special parties. Hookers being bussed or transported to a mansion for some extra creepy shit. And man, this series goes so far, man. And here we have, again, rubber banding back to Vince Vaughn, we have the masculine equivalent of this, which is this clandestine gathering of dudes to talk about business. The hyper-masculine equivalent. And Vince Vaughn is like, one of my guys is dead. What the fuck happened. So both our characters are trying to solve the mystery in their own ways. That's the epic contrast in this series. And Vince Vaughn's like, I just want you guys to give me information. And this fat fuck is like, I think you got us confused with hoes because you're telling us what to do. And Vince Vaughn's like, I have been waiting for this for 3 episodes, man, just to show you who I really am. His associates are sliding their hands down their suits to where their guns are. Holy shit. Slight detail, very good. This guy's like, you're not as cool as you used to be. And he fucking grabs the guy's lip. And he's like, you want to throw down? It's like, bro, I'm not bluffing. You're out of shape as fuck. You've been eating Del Taco for 10 years. I've been fucking boxing. I've been losing sleep over water stains. You think I'm the type of person who's gonna hold back in a situation like this? God damn. What a scene, man. Holy shit. I mean, the guy's a pushover, sure, the fat guy, but he's taking out all the repressed shit that we've seen in the first 2 episodes. It all just gets dumped onto this guy. Pulls out a pair of pliers. Rips the guy's nasty ass teeth out. What kind of a way is that to greet the world? I can't disagree, man. That's a nasty ass visage. Pulls the guy's fucking teeth out. Yeah, could have done worse. Guys, I'm gonna say it. I think Vince Vaughn held back in that scene. I think he actually took mercy on the guy. The series is so fucked, man. Everything's fucked up. So again, Cat Shitman is on duty with Bezarides, and he's enduring these interrogations. He's saying, hey, and something happens. Someone throws a Molotov in the Fallout 4 universe. This whole series, you know what, in my head, it just takes place in 2083. This is after the Chinese nukes fell, Might as well. It's just as chaotic as that shit. It's the same thing. I wanted to talk about this earlier too. The idea of nukes, just as a concept, is very interesting. Regardless of whether nuclear weapons are real or fake or somewhere in between, the psychological effect is the actual tangible result. You have people who have been discouraged from breeding because they're worried about nuclear holocaust. You have preppers buying resources that they wouldn't otherwise have bought or hoarded. You have people getting angry at other cultures that they wouldn't otherwise have been opposed to. It's almost like the term nuclear in nuclear weapons refers to the nuclear family, which I don't know if that preceded nukes or if it was a subsequent result. Again, it doesn't matter. The point is, the psychological effect of thinking that there's nukes, it has a profound effect on everybody, in every culture. As a psyop, if it is a psyop, It's one of the most ingenious psyops ever constructed. We have a weapon that could destroy the world, so you better do what we say, or the world will be destroyed. And here's footage of matchstick houses and underwater bullshit to terrify you, to rape you mentally as a child. You're hiding under your desk in the late 60s because we've mentally raped you. We've traumatized you in a way that you can't even conceptualize. What a hell of a thing. Even if nukes are real, what a hell of a way to handle that. What an interesting choice. Very creepy. Imagine if nukes weren't real. Imagine if the nukes that were dropped on Japan were just advanced fire bombs that created a mushroom cloud shape when they exploded. And maybe those bombs included radioactive material. Maybe the only type of nuclear bomb that can be built according to the laws of physics is a type of dirty bomb or a salted bomb, something that spreads radiation. Maybe that's the only type of real nuke that can be constructed. Maybe the real nuke was psychological. Maybe the real nuke was a mass discouragement of breeding to filter out people who were too anxious to have children in the face of heavy odds. Insidious, presumptuous, dark shit. And maybe some of those people that you filtered out would have saved you. Maybe they were the old man at the door, Odin in disguise. And by perpetuating such a psyop, you dismissed them. In your arrogance to try to construct some sort of societal thing, you doomed your society. And now, all you can do is watch the credits roll. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed my commentary on episode 3 of season 2. I hope you're doing well in your life. And as always, don't take life too seriously. Don't take psyops or fear-mongering of any sort seriously. If any of it's true, you'll just be vaporized or killed. And then what will it have mattered that you worried or didn't worry about it? What will have mattered is what you built and the family that you had or supported through that event. What I'm trying to say is chill out and try to have fun in your life. Don't focus on any of this crap that I'm compelled to focus on. Credits have ended, so I'm going to end the recording. So again, thank you guys for watching, and as always, peace out.